Stefan Levitsky, and together with Ian Doughton, we're the creators of the IconicRacer series, multimedia books for iPad and Mac and so on. And actually, from now on, for the iPhone as well. Basically, we decided to create the Wheelnuts YouTube program because during the research for our books, we found it was actually very difficult to find global information that was all together. We found lots of separate information, like there's information for Blancpain, there's information for IMSA, there's information for FIA WEC, but there's nothing that combines all of those together. So eventually we actually said, well, why don't we do that? And this is our attempt at doing that. We hope you enjoy what we're putting together. Our plan is to do something once a month. We have a great lineup for our first program, which includes people from the team. We have Brian Gersh from Bentley. We have Andrew Kirkcaldy from McLaren GT. So leading teams. And we're talking to them about various things. We also have managed to get hold of some of the foremost drivers in the various series, and at the moment we have Alvaro Parenti, we have Rob Bell, we have Guy Smith from the Bentley team, we have Andy Meyrick, and we have Stephen Kane. And in fact we're in the process of talking to a number of other very, very good GT drivers. So we're hoping to extend that. We have some small interviews. Basically, we're going to put highlights within the program itself, and we will put a link at the end so that, in fact, because in the main they are extended interviews. Most of the interviews we've done, the edited highlights will be in the region of about 10 to 15 minutes.
We will be contacting drivers throughout the world who are racing in the various race series that we cover. We will interview them via Skype and then put that on the YouTube channel. Obviously, being Skype, there may be some sound problems, but we will endeavour to get the best quality of sound and picture wherever possible. So we'll have people hopefully coming back from America, Japan, and the European series of GT racing. So we'll be doing IMSA, Super GT in Japan, and the Blancpain. And we will go to races where possible and carry out and conduct interviews ourselves with the drivers.
As Ian was saying, we'll be going to as many races as we can, but where we can't go, we'll have the drivers backing us up. In addition to that, we'll be using social media, such as Twitter and the IconicRacer that we use ourselves, as well as Periscope, which we've looked at and in fact we've tested, and we believe that will help us as well to give you up-to-date information. One of the things that we would like to do is to get the fans as much information as possible about the race series, the teams and the drivers. So where possible, we will be interviewing the people that matter to get an insight, a real insight into exactly how all these teams work. In addition to that, the social media side that I've just mentioned will be used for you to provide feedback to us. You can ask us questions, you can say, well, we think the program's rubbish, or we think it's fantastic, which we hope, of course, is the latter. One of the things that we would like to do is to say to people, give us your feedback. We will be evolving the program as time goes on. But in addition to that, we would also like to ask you to give us feedback and questions that you would like to put to certain drivers. We're talking to drivers on a regular basis. Tell us what you need to know, and if we have the opportunity, we will do it. we started looking at the World Endurance Championship. We actually started looking at Porsche, the 911 RSR. And that was the focus. That's why we watched World Endurance Championship. And that was, 2 years ago. Now, and this year particularly, it's got to a level where the GT Championship is still very, very interesting. There's a lot going on. I mean, there's always that fight between Aston, between Ferrari and Porsche. But the thing that's really surprised me is how the LMP1 side of things has been just superb now. It's changed in the last couple of years to be an absolutely gripping championship. 6, 12, 24-hour races, and at the end of these, you've got 10 seconds between the top 3 manufacturers. And you've got some phenomenal drivers all the way through it, from Andre Lotterer, you've got Vesla, you've got the Porsche drivers. I mean, Nico Hulkenberg did a phenomenal job at Le Mans with Nick Tandy, of course, and with Earl Bamber. The new guys, they were the ones that nobody expected.
Didn't expect it at all. They weren't the favourite car,
they were the number 3 car,
and
they were the ones with the lowest expectations. They won it, which was phenomenal.
In the history books forever.
Absolutely. It's just absolutely fantastic. And all credit to all of them. Ross, Nico from the situation where he's come into something that's quite different. He's had a couple of races. I think he raced at S.p.A. And that's it, really. He's had a few hours of experience, and he's come from Formula One. And 1 minute he's jumping into a Formula One car, and the next minute he's jumping into an LMP one. And there must be a major difference in the way both of them react. I have to say, I think probably the LMP one is faster in some respects, certainly at Le Mans. It must be phenomenal. And he did a fantastic job. But we can't take it away from the other guys. I mean, Nick Tandy is one of our favourite GT drivers, and he absolutely deserves
to
move up to LMP1.
He's worked very hard in the lower levels. We saw him in the British GT in the track speed Porsche with Richard Ashburn, and he stormed it. As soon as he got in the car, you could see the whole team physically relaxed because, okay, Nick has the car. And it was a done deal.
I don't know if you remember the IMSA races last year where Nick was driving for Porsche North America, and he was, storming Nick basically. He just went off into the distance where he could. I mean, obviously, balance of performance dependent, because some races they were good. They had some reliability issues as well. But I mean, he was storming on the right day. He just stormed off into the distance.
He did get a little shunt because of his exuberance at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
But he made a name for himself over there, and
he certainly did.
Yeah, he's certainly made a name for himself now, because
now
I think he started off in.
No one can forget, really.
No, he started off in driving a little mini Clubman, I think it was, years ago, and he's forever in the history books, and I know that he's happy about that. As he would be. Yeah, but I think with the LMP, he didn't have such a good test at S.p.A. either. I think he collided with another of the 911s up there, which I think was his teammate for Le Mans, which was Bamber, I think. So it wasn't a great test for him. So from that, they weren't favourites, and from somewhere they pulled it out the bag. Obviously, the team helps as well. The Porsche are a superb team when it comes to that sort of racing. They have a fantastic history at Le Mans, and I think it's just nice to see them, literally up the front again. And I'm sure they're happy about that, as the team are.
I mean, Earl Bamber, I mean, he's been in Super Cup racing, been champion for various Super Cup, Porsche Super Cup racing series over the last few years, and he's just phenomenal. He's a bit like Nick, where he pushes and pushes and pushes, and he's got that killer instinct as well.
Quietly working away at his career, which has come another big step now.
Absolutely.
It's just,
hopefully we'll get to talk to these guys at some point in time.
Yes, well we've spoken to Nick before, but if we can enlist him to be one of the drivers that we have a regular contact with, that would be great, because not only is he a consummate professional, a fantastic driver, he's a really nice guy, and it would be great.
But they all are. All the ones that we've met so far have been really helpful to us and very supportive.
Yeah.
So Le Mans this year was a phenomenal race. I sat up and watched. I think I watched about 18 hours of it. I had to have some sleep anyway. But it was great racing all the way through.
Popping out to the shops for the occasional beer along the way. I must have seen most of the race as well. It was gripping, and it was a race that you didn't want to miss.
And it was a shame for a number of cars. I mean, Patrick Pilet was in the 911 RSR. He had a problem, and in fact, I think it caught fire, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And then you have Rob Bell. I think various bits were falling out of the car when Rob finished his driving stint. I don't know if Rob was actually driving at the time.
Yeah.
But it's certainly the car that he was one of the drivers in. That was the Art car, the Aston Martin, the Art car that they had. And
which had a nice livery as well. It was a sort of
it was
multicoloured 3D sort of look.
Very different.
The one person that I was very happy to see get the podium was Dempsey, Patrick Dempsey. I think with Dempsey, he's obviously an actor first and foremost, and he's always trying to lose that because he wants to be a racer. I think now he can actually lay claim to that title.
I think he's done the job. I mean,
he's as good a racer as he is an actor.
Is it the third or the fourth time he's been?
Fourth time.
It's the fourth, and he missed out.
He's come close.
Not last year, the year before, I think.
It was good to see him. He had a few tears on the podium, I think, and quite rightly so. He's been pushing for that, and we all know what it's like when you try, and it's great when you get the payoff. Well, we like the Blancpain Endurance Series. When we were researching the books, this was our first port of call, and we attended a few races and made our initial friends in the GT world at these races. So we have a particular love of the Blancpain Endurance Series for that reason. We attended Silverstone and met with some drivers, and some of the interviews you see were carried out there. And then Stefan went to the Paul Ricard meeting in the south of France, which sounds lovely. I hopefully will be going next year. And he carried out a few more interviews there, and the upcoming race, the 24-hour S.p.A. race, again Stefan will be attending, having meetings and talking to some of the drivers there. The Silverstone race, because we were there, we didn't really see a lot of the race, and that tends to be the case when you're working. The race is going on around you, you're always doing something else. So in a way it's good to look at these races at a distance, because you get to see what's happening. So I'll be doing that this weekend, and hooking up with Stefan at various times to find out what he's been doing, which I'm sure he'll be more than happy to explain in his own words.
Yeah, basically it's going to be a very busy weekend. I'm actually there for the full 24 hours, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So I'll be half dead on Monday, I'm sure. We did this race a few years ago for as part of the McLaren book, and we were with the Ben Ryan team at that time, and we spent the whole 24 hours of the race up and helping. We were helping at that time with their social media and various other things. But it was a long 24 hours. But the adrenaline was there. Great racing. And we're looking forward to this weekend where it's going to be great racing again. But a number of interviews booked with the Bentley team and with McLaren. And basically there are a number of other drivers as well that we've already agreed to hook up with. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great race. It's very difficult to actually decide who is going to end up on the podium for this one. I really wouldn't like to guess. I think Bentley and McLaren are both dark horses on this. So they're not the fastest, but they are fairly consistent, and it looks like we think they could be well placed. But whether they'll be on the podium or not is another issue. We're hoping that they both do well, but there's strong opposition from the Audis, particularly the WRT, the local WRT, and VDS.
There are a number of races from various series during the month of July and August, although August traditionally tends to be a holiday month for a number of series. Those series tend to restart in September. The first edition of Wheel Nuts was a real learning curve for us. We found out just how difficult it is to keep up with the deadlines we set ourselves. We will learn from any mistakes that we made and evolve the program in the coming months. We have a number of excellent subjects who were foolhardy enough to agree to be terrorised by us and to be interviewed. Seriously though, the support that we've received from the GT community has been absolutely fantastic, so we'd like to thank everyone for that. The interviews that we have so far from the driver's side, we have Bruno Senna, Guy Smith, Andy Meyrick, Stephen Kane and Rob Bell, and we have more to come in the next few weeks. From the team side we have Brian Gush from Bentley and Andrew Kirkcaldy from McLaren GT. Please bear in mind that this is our first attempt and we believe that we've put together a very serious and interesting program for you. Hopefully in the future this will become even more interesting for you as we put more and more information together and talk to more and more of the teams and drivers. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it and we hope to see you soon. And don't forget to subscribe.